Down a darkened drive, you'll find their candlelight. From a widow's peak, you'll see it burning bright. Through the double doors into their dusty tomb, you'll feel eyes from paintings follow room to room. On the creaky stairs, you may think twice, as you tell yourself those bangs are mice. In the upstairs hall, you'll see shadows dance. There's a light from the candle, this is your only chance. You run and you cry as you curse this dark night, only to find at the end there's no candlelight. Instead, there's some headphones you put on full of fear. When suddenly it's every nightmare rolled into one that you hear. And it says, "Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we are enjoying the new year.
Yes, we are.
Very happy, actually. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny. It said Happy New Year. We showed up happy.
Yes, we did what we were supposed to.
We did exactly what we're supposed to. That rarely happens.
Yes.
So cool things have happened. You know, we had that Christmas thing.
Yes.
And we've had that New Year's thing. Mm-hmm. We've had that Wrestle Kingdom thing. Mm-hmm. If you don't know, you need to just look up New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you don't like New Japan Pro Wrestling, I'm sorry. But if I'm talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling real quick, I'm going to give a real quick shout out at the first of the show to my good friend Chase Owens, who does the wrestling thing with me. And he is now signed to a full-time contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yes, congratulations to Chase.
Congratulations, Chase. Now, on backwards in time to Christmas.
Yes.
Got some cool things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got some cool things.
I did. I finally got my DNA test. So I sent it off. Should get the results back in a few weeks.
Oh, we're going to have to do the reveal here on the show.
I'm excited. I can't wait
to find out. Yeah, me too. I'm very excited. I can't wait till I keep waiting for the guys to show up at the door like E.T.
With the suits on.
Yeah, with the big, the big giant suits on and the flashlights everywhere.
Well, there's still time.
Get our bikes and ride over the hills.
There's still time.
Some RT shots. It'll be cool. It'll be cool. It's a lot of fun for the kids. They get a chance to try the bikes out, go through the mountains, go through the woods.
Yes.
It's nice. And, you got some other cool things.
I did.
You got some stones.
Cool, I did. And I got some things to do some dowsing and a new pendulum and lots of things I wanted.
Yeah, all kinds of witchy Stardust stuff. The dowsing rods are cool.
They are. They are. I never actually owned my own pair.
I think it's cool that they actually cross in the same spots that we have EMF show up. Mm-hmm. That's kind of cool.
It is.
And you got your big Dremel tool.
Yes.
So a bunch of cool stuff and a bunch of boring sweaters and all that.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah. So, that's good stuff. And I got some decent things too. So
I like to think so.
Yeah. So mine are a little bit more, I'm 10 years old. So we'll just leave it at that. I got my 10-year-old things, and I'm pretty happy with that. For the first time, Stacey actually, it's hard to buy for me.
It is.
It's hard to buy for me.
You're very specific taste.
I'm a very specific person. Yes. And that's just, it's really hard to be me and enjoy things. Because I just like giving. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing. It's so much better to give.
It is.
It just makes you happy. Mm-hmm. It makes you happy to see the kids just ecstatic. It makes you happy to see your partner ecstatic. Mm-hmm. And really, with me, if I want something, I'm just going to get it. That
is true.
And people don't know what I like. That's the weird thing. Mm-hmm. My likes change so often. So I really pity the fool that has to buy for me. But you did a really damn good job.
I did good.
And it was a lot of fun and really enjoy that. And the new year was just a lot of fun because we were with family, and family is fun.
Yes.
And then this family's fun anyway. But speaking of a new year, I have seen little Miss Prissy over here working on something diligently. And it's funny because I can tell from here, knowing the time of year it is, knowing you, I can only guess that you've done your top stories from the year?
I have, and I actually made them into a top 10 list. Since you like to do top 10 lists.
I love top 10 lists.
I thought I would do a top 10 list for like my favorite stories that we did last year.
Awesome.
And I would steal your top 10 thing.
Yeah, no.
This time. Is that okay?
I stole it from Tim.
We're stealing the thing.
It's all good. I'm sure top 10s have been done somewhere along the line before.
I'm sure.
Don't think they're copywritten.
No, I don't think
But let's do it. Top 10 stories that we did.
Yes, that we did on our show.
On the show, being Paranormal Sideshow, over the course of the past year of 2018.
Yes, and these were just ones that I thought were the most interesting or were my favorites.
So it's one girl's opinion.
Yes, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on some of these.
I'm sure we must.
All right, well, let's start with number 10.
Good place.
Yes. And that was the story that we did about the sprawling network of Mayan ruins that they found with the LiDAR technology in the Guatemalan jungle. Do you remember that? I love that story.
Yes, LiDAR for the win.
And I loved it because, and this was early in the year, like episode 39, like very beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And I loved it because what they found was this sprawling Mayan society, and they had no idea that it was that big, and there was walkways and places that connected, and it just blew their minds.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing. So I love LiDAR technology.
All that growth has come up, and they found so much with LiDAR. It's nuts.
Yeah, I think I saw this one article where they were showing this piece of jungle, and they're like, this is the piece of jungle that everybody's been looking at for years, and then now here's the same piece with LiDAR technology, and there was like a pyramid there.
Yeah.
And you could be standing right there and not even see it.
Yeah.
Because of the growth in the jungle.
It really changes. It's going to change the world. It really is. And what we know of the world and what we know of the past, which we believe that we've been around this thing many times. So it's really cool for people like us.
Yes. But loved that story.
Great
I thought
story.
It was amazing. Okay. So number 9 on the list is kind of a group of stories, and it was all of the religious, quote, miracles that we talked about last year, because there were so many for a year span. We don't normally get stories like that.
No.
And it seems like last year there was quite a few. We had the Weeping Virgin Mary statue, which was a huge one. There was a story about the image of the Virgin Mary that showed up at a hospital in Argentina. There was a couple stories where religious relics survived fires in churches. There was a picture of Jesus.
Yeah, that happened a lot.
Yeah, it happened a few times. And then there was the one about the landslide that was coming down, but then it stopped short just a few feet from that.
Next to that church.
That old church where it was a Virgin Mary thing. They built that church there because there was a Virgin Mary sighting long time ago. So I thought that was really cool that we had all those stories in one year about
really cool, very
religious things.
It's really cool, or it's not really cool.
Yeah, it's one of the two.
We don't know yet. If it's 5 years from now and there's not been a rapture, so that was really cool. So we'll see. But it'd be cool anyway, right? Because we would go and ascend together.
There you are. I'm glad you said that with such confidence. All right, let's move on. Number 8. On number 8 on my list, I put the unusual animal behavior stories.
Yes.
Tons of weird animal behavior.
Oh, yeah, they're all doing drugs.
That could be what it is. We had the zombie-like raccoons in that one city where they made T-shirts about it.
Oh God! For a second, I just thought the raccoons were making T-shirts. I was like, all of a sudden,
zombie raccoons.
I just seen the raccoons in a little sweatshop, like, because here's like they're zombie-like raccoons making T-shirts, and I was just like, they're chained to like their little feet to the little elementary school, chairs and stuff. Just like,
no, thank goodness.
Wow,
that's not like that.
My head. You should visit sometime.
I'm scared. There was stories of birds attacking people, squirrels that took over cities on the coast.
Squirrels that took over cities.
Well, I mean, they weren't scared of the people. They were overrunning the cities.
I declare this squirrel.
Stealing people's food and stuff. The story about the guy who was attacked by the monkeys.
If you try taking us, you're nuts.
Would squirrels use puns like that? Would they?
I hope so.
Pun squirrels.
I hope they're punny squirrels. And what else other than the punny squirrels?
The story about the guy who snuck into the zoo and the monkeys attacked him.
Well.
And then there was the story about the macaques.
We don't know what he did to the monkeys.
That's true. Who killed that guy with the bricks? Remember they hid the bricks in the tree?
The macaques are terrible. I hate macaques.
Oh, the story of the baboons that escaped that research facility by stacking the barrels up in the corner of the thing, and they got over the fence, and that weird dog that stared at the wall for 3 days and nobody could figure out what he was looking at.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
Just tons of strange.
I wonder what happened to that dog.
Strange stuff. I don't know. They didn't do a follow-up story.
They should go there and see if there's a painting of a dog staring back. Be like, we don't know what happened to the dog, but this weird painting showed up. Just staring out here.
Very strange.
It's very odd.
And there was that story of the reindeer just walking in circles. Do you remember that one? Like it was a video and the reindeer were just moving and nobody could figure out what was going on.
Hundreds of them, yeah.
Yeah, so lots and lots of just really unusual. I don't even think that's all of them. There's tons of unusual animal behavior on there. So I figured that deserved a spot.
No, absolutely.
So number 7, going on with the animal theme, there was tons of stories about strange animal mutilations, or killings, or die-offs, things like that.
Yeah, which has been a common theme throughout the 9 years that we've.
It has. Now the mass deaths have been, but like the mutilations, you don't normally get that many stories. No. And this year it seemed like there were quite a few in a row, like the cows.
Are you talking about the vampires?
Yeah. Yes.
Why didn't you just say the vampire story?
Well, they weren't all vampires, but
it was vampires.
Cattle missing their ears and udders, and then that one animal in the forest that was missing its head and feet, and the sheep with the weird
the vampires. Yeah. for in case you're new to the show,
right?
For the course of about 3 to 4 shows, I believe what it was there was 2 shows. Minus 1 show, meaning there was a show that we didn't talk about it, and then another show where we did. So out of a 4-show span, 3 of those 4 had, shows about news stories about these vampiric animals.
Right, where all the blood was drained.
Right, where we find these animals completely drained of blood, puncture marks, the whole thing. It seemed like a ravaging horde of psychotic vampire
that could surgically remove parts of cows.
Yes, like medically trained vampire geese were going across the continents.
It was very strange, strange. And then
I made up the geese part.
Yeah. That's true, you did.
Not sure if they're geese.
Well, and we had the stories about the supposed gargoyle, and they thought that was something that was killing some of the animals off.
Right.
And just tons of stuff. And then with the mass deaths, there was a lot of mass death ones, but we always have those, like you said. But there was a story about, pelicans that were crash landing, like dive bombing themselves.
That was weird.
Yeah.
That was creepy.
And then all the cat disappearances.
Yeah.
And all the people finding the dead cats everywhere, and all the animals washing up. It was just terrible. Just tons.
Maybe
of
it was the penguins getting the cats, and then they couldn't take it anymore. They just committed suicide.
Maybe that's what it was.
I don't know.
Very strange. Tons of strange stories. All right, so let's move on. And number 6 on the list is all the Egyptian discoveries this past year.
My God, I can't believe that was all the way up at number 6.
There's
I thought that would be number 1.
Many. No, there's more interesting things too, but this was interesting.
This was a crazy year for Egypt. This was we're sorry for all the terror. We're going to act like we found some stuff this year. Well, we've been sitting on this crap for,
for a long time.
Yeah, so Howie.
I'm going to show you. I had this list. Do you see this list?
I see that list.
Well, wait, that's not the whole list. Look at this list. Look, 3 pages long.
Wow.
That's just from this year.
Yeah, let the people hear the 3 pages again. Wow. That's 3 big pages.
Well, I'm going to link to this blog. It's a really cool blog, and that what they do is every 2 months.
That's a weird name for a blog.
That's not what it's called. I don't remember what the name of the blog is. I have it.
Then why
linked.
are you advertising it?
Because every 2 months they do a list of all the Egyptian discoveries.
How are people going to find it?
I'm going to link to it.
Oh.
See, they have to go to our website now.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah.
You're working them. I understand this from pro wrestling.
So it's very cool, and you can go on there. And
what website would they go to find this link?
ParanormalSideshow.com.
Say it a little bit more confidently. You have to whisper it to them. It's not like a back alley like, hey, I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but they got what you're looking for. All right. I mean, if I was interested. Oh, you're interested, or you wouldn't still be standing here. Just take this card. I don't want to say it out loud in case the coppers are around. Oh, Paranormal Sideshow. What's wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you? Hey, you. Did I hear you talk about Paranormal Sideshow? Come with me. No. ParanormalSideshow.com, where you can go to find the naughty bits.
Is that our new commercial?
Yes. Just came out of nowhere. I liked it.
Yeah, off the top of your head. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Well, anyway, I will link to all of these articles with all of these discoveries. And it was funny because I was looking over this list of all of the things that they discovered in Egypt. And you remember how a couple shows ago we did that story about the tomb that they found, the 4,400-year-old tomb, and it was for that priest, and I couldn't pronounce his name, right, and that sort of thing. So I was looking at this list, and back in February, there was an article about how Egyptian archaeologists unearthed a 4,400-year-old tomb. And I thought, that's weird.
That is weird.
I was like, that could be the same. It's not the same tomb.
Wow.
Like, I had to go back and forth between the stories and make sure one was like a tomb for a priestess and one was a tomb for a priest. They found two this past year.
They could have went to like hieroglyphic high school together.
They could have. You never know. They did find a lot of Roman stuff. They found, tons of tombs, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Why is it never like 4413?
I think they just round it.
Yeah.
I don't think they can exactly, exact 4,275-year-old.
Well, I would. I mean, what's it really matter at that point, right? So it's not exact anyway. Mm-hmm. So just give it quality. Give it some kind of like. I want them to be like, this is 5,216 years and 29 days old. How do you know that? We're scientists.
I'm a scientist. That's why I know.
And we know these things. It's the same thing as telling me it's 4,400 years.
Right.
But make it interesting. Right. It helps the story. It's a little flavor. Instead of being 4,400 years, that's just laziness.
Is it?
They could have, both of them are probably 14,000 years.
You never know.
I do know. The Sphinx, obviously, has incontinence. Or it has a water problem. Anyway, they know that there was water there and that it was there during the water times, and that makes it so much older. And if the glove don't fit, you must have quit.
Well, obviously they are wanting to get all of that out in Egypt because they want to increase their tourism. Yeah. They're wanting to put all these discoveries forward, and I'm curious to see if the next year if they keep finding that number of things, because it is quite the list.
North Africa. Come visit. Sorry.
Okay, so number 5.
Yes.
Number 5 on the list. And this was the article we did about the people that said that the octopus could be an alien life form.
Yes, the alien life form.
Story.
This also pushed to me talking about the stupid octopus on the boat.
That's true.
That got its whole body through like a pencil-sized hole.
Well, I liked that story because we actually ended up referencing it in other stories that came out. Did I say that weird?
No.
Oh, okay.
Did I?
That came out, over the years. And I thought that was one of the most interesting, one of those stories where you just go, yeah, that could be true.
And we used it many times.
Yes, we did. Number 4.
Ripley's Aquarium took a whole new. We're like, hey, kids, look at the aliens. And we really did.
People looked at us funny.
They look at us funny all the time.
That's true, they do. All right, so number 4 is all the stories about the mysterious illness in Cuba.
Yes.
And very strange.
That's actually taken some turns here recently.
Several times. It has, and I believe they've come out now with a story trying to say that it has something to do with the sound of crickets or something like that. I don't actually have that story. Yeah, it was kind of strange. I don't think that that's really the cause, but it was very strange like theories they're putting forward now. Definitely trying to get away from the sonic weapon theory.
The sound of crickets.
Yes. I apologize. I don't actually have that article in front of me. It was something that I read in passing.
That's one of the reasons it's hard to do an outdoor investigation in the summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because of all the cricket sounds.
Yeah, I've had some really hard times listening to things. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
All right, well, let's move on. So number 3, and I put this on here at number 3 because this story actually started in 2017, and it's the interstellar object story, but we did talk about it a lot this past year, and there were a lot of interesting things that came out about it.
Good Lord, did that interstellar object, was that all the way back in 2017?
Yes, like at the very end of the year, and then it moved into last year, and then we had more stories about it last year.
That's crazy.
So I think it was like at the very end.
That's just crazy that was so long of a time.
Yes, it's been around a long time. Yeah. But this year we had all the stories about the speculation about what it was, all the studying of it, and then where they believe that they found other objects that could possibly be interstellar.
Huge story.
Absolutely. Very, very crazy. Number 2, I put fast radio bursts.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have talked about FRBs a lot.
We have talked about FRB since FRBs first ever made their little dawning in 2015.
Yes.
Since the first time it was ever discovered. And now today, we're going to have a huge story.
Yes, I have that in our news coming up. We've got a new story for that.
I'm sure most of you kids have already heard it, but you haven't heard it the way we say it, because we say it with a southern accent.
Well, in this past year, I believe they found, not only have they found more fast radio bursts, but they found the brightest one ever, and I think they found one that was the lowest frequency ever. Maybe the closest one. There was a lot of new, because it was a new thing, so it was a lot of newer discoveries with that, but we did talk about it quite a lot, so I wanted to put that on the list. So number 1, my favorite thing, or the most important thing I thought we talked about this past year, I think you're going to agree, is how they came out and said that there was evidence of liquid water on Mars.
Oh, yes.
And that they found the water molecules on the asteroid Bennu, which was a very recent story. But big, huge discovery with finding the water out there.
Well, I mean, the water on Mars, as we've talked about before, I mean, that was always the thing they always said, hey, if we find water, then that's obviously the main component for life. So there's probably life out there. If there's water there, then there could be water on these other planets. And it was really up for debate for a long time. It was. For many reasons. But water being there, basically, for life not to be there, because they have also found in the past couple of years life existing, and I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's coincidental that they have found life existing in places you would not consider life to be able to exist, whether it be way below the surface, in where there's no sunlight, where there's nothing that should allow you to live.
Right, because it's so far down.
Or so remote, or so ancient that anybody's ever been there. So they found these things, and they're like, wow, this didn't require anything to have this life. Now, of course, it's microbial. It's the smallest it gets, in layman terms. But if that is there, that is life. That is
it's got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's a building block.
Exactly.
And if that is there on Earth, then there is a great possibility. In fact, with water being on Mars, this is how big this story is. If there was not some sort of life in that water, I think it would be more mind-blowing at this point than there actually being something.
Right.
Just because of the sunlight hitting it, all the factors.
Right.
And Mars used to be full of life. Mars, there is nothing but evidence of lakes, of, it looks like really the old story that, there's so many theories out there.
Right.
But we have the asteroid belt, right? And it really just really does look like there was some kind of collision at some point. Something happened, something drew atmosphere off Mars. Was Mars and Earth connected? Was the moon a part of Mars? Our moon. I
mean, there's no telling.
There's a lot of possibilities. We don't know. And that's really one of the most interesting parts about this era that we're in, because we're exploring again. So as humans, we're actually getting to that point where we're exploring all this, and in most of our lifetimes. Because think about how much computers go each day, and you get a computer and then 2 weeks later it's like outdated.
They have something newer.
Artificial intelligence, we talk about it a lot, and we're all scared of it and everything. But as far as the good things that it can do, if you have a robot that doesn't need to breathe and can go to Mars safely and check all this out and do tests, because it's getting there. It's getting there where they can actually do the testing there and send it back to us, right? I just think that we're in a very exciting time to be fans of the stuff we're fans of. I agree. I think if you're a fan of science, if you're a fan of, space exploration, if you're a believer in aliens and ancient technology,
even if it's just like sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any of that stuff, yeah.
Absolutely. Just really, I totally agree with your number one story because I think it probably is the most relevant to our society. Mm-hmm. Mm. So,
and I thought it was probably one of the more important ones that we talked about.
Absolutely.
I do have a couple of honorable mentions because,
I love
like you,
mentions.
I can't whittle anything down to what I'm supposed to whittle it down to.
I was always the honorable mention in elementary school.
Were you? Mm-hmm. You never won the prize.
No, I had many badges.
Right.
In elementary school where I was like the honorable mention. So I grew fond of honorable mentions.
Well, these were just some of my more favorite stories that I couldn't really put on the list, but I wanted to mention them. And one was from early on, another story that started at the end of 2017, but we talked about, and that was the Chinese space station that fell back to Earth very, very slowly. And to tell you how slowly, the first time we talked about it was on episode 31. That was in 2017. We didn't finish talking about it until episode 46. That's how long it took that space station to fall back to Earth. So loved that. I thought that was great.
Oh.
Another one that I thought was a good honorable mention was about the skier in New York that ended up in California and has no idea how he got there.
No, that should have been in the top 10.
Well,
was it because we didn't have a follow-up?
Maybe, because it was just the one story. It wasn't something we talked about all year. It's so weird, but that's why I wanted to mention it.
It was so weird.
Mm-hmm. It was very
strange. Weird. Give a quick recap.
Well, if I remember correctly, he was skiing in New York with some family, and then he just disappeared. He was actually out skiing, and then they couldn't find him. And a few days later, he called his wife from California, and he was in California, had his clothes on. He didn't have his wallet or his keys.
He was in his ski outfit.
Yeah, he was still wearing what he was wearing.
In California.
No idea how he got there. And it was several days. It wasn't like he just disappeared and called the same day. It wasn't a quick thing. He was gone for days, and they had been looking for him and looking for him and looking for him, and nobody could find him. He didn't take any of his personal belongings with him, no money or anything.
Look, I want you to call that police department. No, I'm serious.
Okay.
I want you to call the local newspaper or call the police department from the town that it happened in or the town he lives in.
And ask about it?
I want to know.
Okay.
I want to know. I just really want to know, hey, was there a follow-up to this? Because that's important. We need, and if anybody listening knows
anything about
it, we have literally tens of thousands of people that download the show each week. Please, if you know about this, any kind of update, let us know. We have a lot of people that let us know things from all over the world. You know where we don't have anybody let us know anything from?
Where's that?
Canada.
That's very true.
Isn't that strange?
Well, and sometimes it's hard with these stories because a lot of stories.
What do you think it's all about?
They're just very to themselves, I guess.
They're weird, eh?
I don't want to say because if my DNA comes back as being Canadian, I don't want to.
Oh, there's a good chance of you being French Canadian.
There's a really good chance I got some French Canadian in there, so I don't want to say anything bad about
Canada. This is going to test our bonds.
Is it?
If you come back French, and not from me, not from me. I'll love you regardless.
Right.
But I'll be afraid that you'll retreat at some point.
Don't quit.
Like the French.
I get it.
Sorry.
I think what I was saying was, yes, it's hard with stories like this because a lot of times these kind of stories are only covered on local news.
Yeah.
And so, you can't, it's hard to scan all the local news in every state.
Have you told him about your granddad?
Told who?
Our friends that are listening right now.
About my grandfather?
About your mysterious grandfather.
Well, there isn't really much to tell because nobody knows that much. I believe the story goes, he died when my mother was pretty young, teenager, like 12 or 13. But
so like 100 years ago.
He went missing. Yeah, he went missing at some point. Nobody really knows what happened to him. But after he passed, they found out that a lot of the things about him were not right, like his birthday was wrong. I don't know if his name was even right, or there was a lot of really mysterious things that surrounded that event.
Sounds like a French Canadian.
Yeah, it's very strange. The only reason I say the thing about a French Canadian is I was told that one of my uncles did a DNA test and came back almost 100% French Canadian. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, but you're adopted.
I'm not adopted. I look just like my mother.
You're adopted. You're adopted, Stacey. You're going to come back German.
Maybe.
No, you're going to come back Portuguese.
You think?
Oh, yeah, I do.
No, we'll see. We'll see. My other honorable mention.
Yes.
Almost made me forget. Very early in the year, we got to talk about how Mad Mike finally launched his homemade rocket.
Oh my God, Mad Mike!
2018.
Mad Mike. How did Mad Mike only make the
Because it was more of a 2017 story, and he just happened to.
He didn't launch it till 2018.
I know. At the Super Bowl.
I cry foul.
During the Super Bowl, it was the beginning of the year, because it was just the one story he launched.
But he
didn't
launched.
Die. He's done.
So if he had died, it would have made the top 10.
No, not necessarily.
No, I see how it is.
Well, he never did anything else.
I'm sorry. I don't like that painting.
Well,
I'm sorry. Did he die?
Hopefully.
$10 million.
Hopefully this year he'll get to do his other super secret project thing of shooting himself up into the stratosphere with a balloon tied around his waist or whatever he was going to do. I don't know.
So I got a question.
Okay.
We had all these really cool paranormal stories and stuff like that. What's your favorite, off the top of your head, what's your favorite story of the past year that's not paranormal, that's not political, because we don't do that. That's illegal for us.
Right.
But,
my favorite thing that happened.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing of 2018?
If I had to pull something off the top of my head, I'm going to say the royal wedding.
Oh.
Because it's very fairy tale.
Of course
I love
it is.
stuff like that, and
yes.
she got married and she wasn't really princessy material, but there she is.
It is definitely it's a movie. I mean, because she even had the family members that are kind of, do they like her, do they not?
Right.
Yeah.
I think she's doing well.
I'm a fan.
Yes,
I am
too.
a fan.
I'm always a fan of a good royal wedding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
so.
I like it. I like the pretty woman aspect to it all. I mean, what girl wouldn't?
Exactly. Exactly. So that's my favorite story.
Yeah. Well, my favorite story from the past year, I almost think it deserves its own paranormal part.
Okay.
Because of the mystery.
Okay.
Banksy. Banksy, the street artist.
Yes.
The famous street artist who sold the painting. Well, he didn't sell it, or they didn't sell it.
Right.
I don't want to assign he to Banksy. I'm not sure.
Right.
But Banksy didn't sell it. It was sold by the art gallery, some art gallery in London.
Right?
Yeah. It was an auction in London. It was some afternoon auction. It was in September because they actually authenticated it in October. But what happened is it sold right as soon as the auctioneer declared that it had sold for over £1 million. And you'll have to forgive me. I don't remember the exact amount.
It was a lot of money.
But after it had sold, the very second that he sold it, right? The very second they sold it for over £1 million, it's so classic. It starts shredding into strips. And if you haven't seen it, my God, you have to go watch it.
It's so funny.
It is so great. Stacey, you'll have the link on ParanormalSideshow.com. It's an easy way to find it. And also put the link to the video that Banksy's account, his Instagram account, actually put this video up a few weeks later showing how that was done.
Oh, okay.
How the stuff was put in there and how that was able to happen.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. I'd like to watch that myself.
It's very intriguing. It's very cool. But Girl with Balloon was the most famous painting, and now it has been recertified by the certification people that work for, do the Banksy certifications, and it's been recertified, and they've got a new name for it called Love is in the Bin.
So it's still an expensive work of art.
Oh, it's even more expensive.
I'm sure.
It's more expensive because of what happened.
I loved the faces. The people's faces.
The faces are priceless. They don't know what's happening. It's the thing I talk about, when a building explodes, right?
Right.
Such a terrible thing, and I hate to use that visual.
Right.
But something bigger than you happens, and there for a second, you don't really react. You don't know how to react
because you don't really understand
what's going on. What's going on here. Why is this tree falling in my direction? Just for a split second, you're kind of that moment being captured on film in a non-life-threatening situation with £1 million at stake.
Right.
Is the most beautiful thing you can see.
It's just funny. It was so funny.
It's so amazing because it looks like something. When I watched it, it reminded me of something that would happen in like a Nick Cage early 2000s, movie. You know what I'm saying? It's something it's not real life.
Right.
And God bless Banksy for I love when people give us a little intrigue. I have
absolutely.
There has been people solicit on the phone for years, and I always give them mystery.
Right.
People in malls and stuff. I'll do things with my eyes or whatever. And the other night, this is terrible. I shouldn't even say this. The other night, I wanted to screw with these people in the Walmart parking lot when I was waiting on you.
Right.
Stacey was inside shopping. She don't know this. So this woman pulls in front of me and leaves her headlights on. And it really bothers me when people don't care because I turn mine off,
right.
So she's there. So I'm just staring at her. I'm giving her that 1,000-yard gaze. You know what I mean? Like
right.
that 1,000-yard stare.
Right.
And she looks up and I don't look away.
That makes people so uncomfortable.
And I'm just looking and I'm looking and I'm looking till she looks away.
Right.
And as soon as she looks away, because I already had the car on, as soon as she looks away, I back out and I pull into the spot beside the one I was in. True story. No, listen, it gets better. So she was kind of messed up from that. She's on the phone the whole time.
Right.
I can tell she's discussing what just happened. Okay? And she's a little bit hot. I think she knows that I'm mad about the lights. So then I decided to have fun because at first I was mad about the lights. So then I decided to stop playing Castle Crush. And I backed out again. And I pulled on the other side of the cart return. And I just sit there. I waited a second and then I just looked over her direction and she was looking and she looked away real quick. So at this point, she's starting to freak out a little bit.
Right.
She's telling the person she's talking to something's very uncomfortable. So best one yet, before I actually text you, because you still have the text messages where I say, hey, I had to move. I'm in a new spot. Okay.
Yes.
You just didn't know all the details.
Right.
So the gory details are, it's very empty. For some reason, not a lot of people were at Walmart.
No, it was
very empty. All right. So I did decide just to have the ultimate fun. I put it in drive and I had a straight shot across to the all the way over to the other row. Okay. Not in front of me, but all the way across the lane into the other side. Right. So I slowly just take off forward instead of backing out, and I watch her as I go. And she looks over, and I'm not even paying attention to the right or to the left or anything. I just watch her as I move the vehicle. And I let my head turn. And she's like, at this point, she's not even like pretending. She's like watching. You could tell she's freaked out. So I just pull over there, and I kill everything. And I put my seat, I lower my seat back. Just completely
so she can't see you anymore.
Just completely lower my seat back. And then I text you. And I'm like, hey baby.
I had to move spots.
And I took a picture of where I was at.
Yes.
But that lady never went inside. A couple minutes later, I'm proud to say she backed out. Did not come the convenient way, which would be in front of me or behind me.
Right.
Went the long way out of the parking lot and probably went down to the next town. That is how I like to give people intrigue.
There you go.
And
her life was made more interesting.
She's talked about that.
Oh, I'm sure. You just gave her a great story.
She'll talk about that for years. I love stuff like that. I love doing that for people.
I know when I was younger, my friends and I would do silly things. Like we would stand on the sidewalk and look up in the sky and just stand there and look in the sky. Nothing was up there, but it's funny how many people will come by and look, they'll want to look and see what you're looking at, and you're not actually looking at anything. So
to this day, another one I do ever since I've done it since I was a teenager is I blow the horn when people are on a bike.
And you look the other direction.
And I wave out the window to the other direction, but I'll wait for them to wave. And I'll see them wave, and I'll just start waving the other direction.
Way to make people feel awkward.
Yeah. It's fun though. It's fun. All our little secrets, right?
Have we revealed too much?
I think that it's just we reveal more and more while we are Jerry and Elaine from Seinfeld.
I suppose.
Like, nonstop.
I know I used to work at this store. And the store had this huge picture window in the front. And there were times during the day where we weren't very busy. Mm-hmm. And so we would take breaks and we would sit up at the front window.
Act like you're mannequins?
We would watch people walk by. You couldn't really see in very well. You could see out, but you couldn't really see in very well. But we would watch people. It was downtown. So we'd watch people walk by and stuff. And one day we went outside and we glued quarters to the bench with super glue, like super glue. So we glued a bunch of quarters like to the bench, like somebody had dropped them, and then counted how many people came by and tried to pick them up. It was the funniest thing. For some reason, people trying to pick, like they'd scrape at them and pick at them, and you couldn't use pennies. You had to use like real silver coin. And we did that, and we laughed about it so much. And the next day we came back and we were like, oh, we're gonna go see about our quarters. We were gonna do it again. Piece of the bench was gone. Somebody had come by and like cut it out. I don't know.
I know what you're talking about, and the number of winos down there is astounding.
Apparently one wino had a saw because a piece of the bench was gone.
That's insane.
It's a lot of work for 50 cents, but whatever.
Well, you know what? There's some of the hardest working people. Mm-hmm. But hey, there you go. Some interesting stories that you're going to find. If you want to find more like that, I hear you can go to ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address to find out everything. What do I even put there?
I don't know. I'm not sure how we got off on all that, but everything. You can just find everything.
You find everything?
There you go. Everything.
So basically go to ParanormalSideshow.com. That's the place you want to go. It's killer because what Stacey does is she puts all the stories in order. So if you want to play along with our home version, you can listen to the podcast. And as you're listening, we give our opinions on the stories. Mm-hmm. Maybe you want to form your own opinion.
Yes.
If that's the case, go on there and you can listen and go to the links as you're listening. Mm-hmm. And, Stacey has every link, every source, and little extra things that we talk about, for fun. That's always in there. And you can go back. All the previous shows are like that. So it's a lot of fun if you just want to go there for your paranormal news. Mm-hmm. It's also a great way just to go there and find out what the news is if you're a little bit behind on the podcast. And you want to see what the last week's paranormal news is. It's a good way to do that. Plus, our Facebook, our Twitter. We would really love for you guys to make a concerted effort to get the Facebook numbers up. They're the only thing that really lag behind for us. Facebook.com/Paranormal Sideshow. Just go on there, hit it, give it a like. We really appreciate it. We don't flood you with a whole lot of crap on purpose. We don't want to be those people. But, it'd be nice to get the numbers up on there. The funny thing is, over the podcast, we've changed the name of the podcast 3 times. Mm-hmm. That's 3 different Twitters that we've had, and we've had to get them up and then get them up again.
Yep.
But that on Instagram, follow us there, John and Stacey Edwards. YouTube.com/Paranormal Sideshow. There's a bunch of cool things there. Plus, you can also get the podcast there. And I will say on the Patreon, thank you to all the patrons. We're going to have something really cool very soon on there, another level. And, some of our bigger donators may be getting some, cool surprises. You never know. But there's some cool stuff on there, and we really appreciate it. It goes a long way in helping us with the bandwidth and with the equipment and everything that goes along with actually bringing the show, not putting ads on the show. It goes a long way, and we appreciate every bit of the support. We, from the bottom of our hearts, it means so much to us because we love what we do and we love bringing it to you. So speaking of loving what we do, so last year around this time, we made some predictions. We did. Well, the great Antonio did. The great Antonio joined us on the show, and he made some predictions. And the great Antonio actually did pretty well. I think not bad. I think most of them happened. So I hear that he's in the green room right now. Oh. Yeah. So you might want him to come on and go ahead and do some more predictions for the next year. I mean, you want me to go get him? Yeah. Let's just go ahead and bang those out before we do the news. All right. Hello, pretty lady. Hello, Antonio. Hello. Your husband's in the other room. We won't call for him. You just go ahead and do your predictions. Oh, okay. Okay. I know you like my predictions. You know how I know?
How do you know?
I am a psychic and medium from beyond. I am the great Antonio. In 2019, that's this year. Mm-hmm. In 2019, the great Antonio predicts a Chinese storm will have the highest winds ever on record.
Wow.
It's not actually Chinese. It's a storm in China.
In China. That was going to be my next question.
A storm in China. I seen your face. I know you. I know you. You know how I know you?
Because you're psychic.
Because I am a medium from beyond. In 2019, the great Irish fighter, Conor McGregor, will successfully return to the ring to take his throne. He is going to return to the UFC, and he is going to have a good victory and then claim once again his throne and have all of the Fairweather fans return.
Okay then. That'll be interesting.
In 2019, the great Antonio predicts an unexpected outcome in a political circus.
Oh.
Yes, we won't say what the political circus is, but there will be a very unexpected outcome.
Wow.
Yes.
Is that favorably unexpected?
That is 100%. It's unexpected. Okay. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
And this is sad for Antonio.
Okay.
Antonio likes to go to big cities. But in 2019, is that am I saying that right?
I don't think so.
No.
2019 is really far away.
Sometimes Antonio gets mixed up with the current.
I see.
It's hard to have this much power.
Let's just do the predictions for 2019.
2019.
Yes.
In 2019, I'll tell you about 2019 later.
Okay.
By ourselves. In 2019, there will be riots. Oh no. There'll be riots, and they'll take to the streets of all metropolitan areas.
Wow.
All big cities.
That's terrible.
It's horrible. European unrest will continue to rise throughout 2019. It's going to get worse and worse before it gets better. But getting better won't happen in 2019.
Oh, so just getting worse in 2019.
Getting worse. I hate it's bad news for the Europeans.
It is bad news.
Yes.
We should probably not go to Europe this year.
No, probably not. A movie from out of nowhere, that's not the title, will rule the box office. No one's going to see it coming.
Oh, an unexpected
hit.
Wow. Okay.
Not an unexpected movie. They have to plan these things out.
Yes, I do understand that.
It's an unexpected hit.
Gotcha.
They're kind of expecting it to make some money. They're not expecting it to be where it's at.
Right.
Okay. Got to make these things clear.
Yes, you do.
I'm the great Antonio. I don't do this any wishy-washy stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I almost said European unrest, but that would be going back a couple of lines because I'm not reading this. This is being read. It's being fed to me. It's being fed to me.
That one must be important. They gave it to you twice.
It's being fed to me.
I gotcha.
It's Philip from beyond.
Oh, okay.
Philip is my man. He tells me everything I need to know.
Okay.
He's also an accountant from beyond. He's got some really good stocks you should buy into. In 2019, a very early stage. You'll like this one because this is the kind of stuff you like.
Okay.
Very early stage of contact that allows disclosure to seem more like mutual discovery. There's a lot of twists and turns in this one.
Yes. That's complex.
Lots of complexity. Yes. A very early stage of contact with the green men. You see, like UFOs.
Yes, I knew what you meant.
Okay.
Alien.
That allows disclosure to seem more like mutual discovery.
So in other words, they're going to pass it off like, oh, look what we discovered.
Exactly.
But that's really the beginning of the disclosure.
Yeah, they're going to have to tell you. They're getting there, but it's not a big disclosure. It's very small. It's not like a big alien.
Right.
It's somewhat of a small alien type thing.
Right. Something just not from here.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. Exactly.
Gotcha.
You're very smart.
Thank you.
You're very clever.
Oh.
You're clever. It must be the prettier the prettier you are, the clever you are.
Yes. I must have a little psychic in me.
Yeah, you want a little psychic in you? 2019. A book. A book. Mm-hmm. A book will rock the paranormal world. That's your world. Mm-hmm. Sending an incredibly talented couple globetrotting in support of this book.
Oh, that's exciting.
I can see, the great Antonio can see, because thank you, Philip. The great Antonio can see this green cover. Mm-hmm. Green, it's like this pretty green, and this attractive couple. The guy, he looks kind of angry. I don't know why that is.
I think he may be just intense.
The woman has these dreamy eyes, much like yours.
Oh, thank you.
They're very dreamy.
Mm-hmm.
I like them. Mm-hmm. And staring off the cover, and there looks like there's a specter, and it looks like there's a UFO. And it's got a front and a back, and it's got,
a front and a back.
It's got a front and a back. It's got a front and a back. And hey,
it sounds like a very complete book.
My neighborhood, you don't always get a front and a back, all right? Sometimes you just get the dust cover. It's really bad. You try to keep it clean and stuff. We got some used bookstores. Give me a break. All right. Anyway, the great Antonio is done.
Those are very good predictions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio.
It's always my pleasure.
Oh, well, good.
All right. I'm going to go back now.
Okay. I'll see you later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, was it good?
It was good. You'll have to play them for you later.
All right.
Some good predictions.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Antonio did pretty good last year.
Yeah.
He didn't flirt with you this time, did he?
No, of course not.
Okay. Wow. He's a little strange. He flirted with me.
Did he?
Yeah.
Maybe you're more his type.
Well, you never know. I think everything's his type. I kind of think
breathing is his type.
I'm pretty sure he's got a thing for that Philip thing too. So, anyway, speaking of cool, groovy, and 2019, I think it's about time we started some 2019 news.
She's the GOAT of paranormal news, traveling the globe to find you the stories you didn't know you needed to hear, and the stories she knows you'll never forget. It's time for Stacey Edwards and Paranormal News.
All right, so let's get to the news.
Let's.
Our first news of 2019.
What is the first story? That's like a trivia question.
What is the first story you did in 2019? This one's going to be easy because we already alluded to it at the beginning of the show.
Yes, the illumination.
It's the one about the fast radio burst.
Yes.
The news story.
I mean, how could it not be first?
Well, we've already mentioned it some time ago.
Yeah, but
during
this
the show.
This is big. This is huge. This is actually getting a lot of traction.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's been everywhere.
A lot of misunderstanding.
So this is a story out of Canada. The telescope there that just opened recently. We talked about it a few episodes ago, like episode 60, and it's called Chime, and it is the one that has been detecting all of the new fast radio bursts. So this news story is about some more.
Wouldn't it be funny if they find out that a woodpecker has built a nest up there, like on top the Chime thing? Like it's just gonna come, because it's the only one that's picking them up, and
probably.
It's a Canada thing.
I remember the name of this because you made a big deal about the name Chime.
Yes.
You were going to start the thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
oh, my God.
So.
Oh, I forgot about my social network.
Yeah, your social network. So Chime has discovered more fast radio bursts, but the big part of this story is they've detected a repeating fast radio burst. And this is only the second one they've ever found that repeats from the same spot.
That's insane.
So that is why this is such a big deal now, because we've had several stories where they've found these or they've found those, but now there are only 2 out of all of the ones they found that repeat from the same exact location in space. Still have no idea what they are.
It's insane.
Yeah, or where they come from or what the purpose of them is.
Because we monitor stars, we monitor planets, we monitor all these celestial objects, and none of which emit FRBs. But these mystery spots are, giving us these FRBs, and the repeaters, that's crazy. Just being in the same spot like that, and it being radio signals.
Right.
I mean, I know that, and maybe you'll allude to this a little bit. I know they think that these FRBs are coming from some large, possibly some large space equipment.
I think there's a ton of different theories. They're not really sure, but the fact that they have a couple that repeat kind of rules out some kind of random thing that happened in space, like a star exploding or something that would just happen randomly. If you have one that repeats, obviously there's something in the same spot in the sky that's giving off this signal on a regular basis.
Wow.
And, it's weird that they're not all like that.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, maybe some of them are, and they just repeat in such large intervals that you would never expect it to be a
slow
repeater.
radio burst.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a very big discovery, and this particular telescope, all it does is it just scans every day. It's looking for these
now. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll find more.
Well, hopefully they get some more tuned in, and
right.
Obviously, the more this happens. Now this one got wings.
Mm-hmm.
This story drank a Red Bull. It went bananas, and that's for you, Travis Molden. It went bananas, and it actually went crazy. I mean, everywhere I've looked over the course of the last 48 hours, I've seen this story.
Yes,
and it's nuts because the people are really excited about this. This is on mainstream sites about this because it happened again,
right?
And because it's so weird.
It is weird.
We don't know what it is. And that's cool.
It is.
Kind of.
I agree. And the fact that we are doing more out in space, we've got all of the private people doing space travel, all the countries are now trying to get out in space, and we're paying a lot more attention to it. What if there's something out there paying more attention to us now? I mean, who knows?
What if it is us, but we went through space, in 30 years we figure out how to warp or whatever, and
right.
We get out there and timey-wimey stuff, and we send back signals.
Could be. We're like, this is going to be funny. Let's confuse them.
Yeah. I don't know. It could be a multitude of things.
It could. I mean, it could just be a very normal, natural explanation of something that we just were not able to detect before, and now we have the technology to pick it up. It's always been there, but now we're just seeing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it
totally
could be
plausible. That's probably the most plausible explanation.
Probably, but that still doesn't explain what it is. I mean, we may never know.
Yeah.
So, let's move on to this next story that has also been dominating the news sites, and it's about China, where they have successfully landed their rover on the far side of the moon, or the dark side of the moon.
Wow.
And they are currently sending back pictures, and some of the sites do have the pictures up. They're pretty unremarkable so far. Basically, it's just looks like
it's a large area.
It is. It is, and it's not been there very long. I mean, it's just landed recently.
Let me throw this one to you. So it is 2019, as Antonio told us.
Yes,
and
several times.
So they have video. I mean, there's video. It's China. So they're sending us pictures. Okay, we're getting pictures. Right. We're not getting video.
Right.
Don't you think that's odd?
I don't know. I know that it was a struggle to be able to send anything back from the far side of the moon. They had to launch a whole satellite.
Yeah, there should be a satellite there that has to bounce off of it. And
perhaps, I'm pretty sure that if China finds anything notable or worthwhile, it's not going to be something where they just tell everybody right off the bat anyway.
Did you notice how the dirt looked?
It was very strange.
It didn't look like the lunar surface from the other side.
Right.
It looked like an Arizona desert to me.
It did, but then again, there's no light on it, so I don't know what the moon looks like.
I wonder if it's a Chinese desert.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Are you saying that they didn't actually land on the moon?
I mean, let's put it this way. Not that China is anything but reputable.
Right.
But me saying this may prove that they won't be able to hear this podcast in China because of a certain internet.
Right.
Just saying, in the world of possibilities, I've not heard a whole lot of people throw smoke up on this one.
No. Well, like I said, it did, supposedly they have tons of experiments up there, lots of devices and equipment on their rover that they're sending up. But because it's China, they're not going to readily just offer everybody in the world the information that they're gathering. There's a reason they're there. There has to be some kind of reason why they decided to go to the far side of the moon. They're not just going to go because nobody had ever done it.
If I ran a country, I'd go there just because I want to see.
I don't know. I know it's.
I think that's the whole nature of exploration. I think that at the very nucleus, I think at the very root of all exploration is to find out what's in there.
Well, true, but they're also doing lots of experiments.
Yeah.
So they obviously have a plan.
Well, they have to like justify their phony baloney jobs.
I suppose. I don't know. It's interesting, and the pictures are interesting, and definitely look at them. I just feel like that no matter what China's doing up there, that we're probably not going to get the whole story.
I don't think we're at the top of the list, no.
No. So
I don't think we're on the first couple pages.
It's interesting anyway to
that Russia knows.
At least keep up with, you think Russia called them. It's like, look, we were planning on going up there and checking on the, could you just zip around the other side of the moon real quick and see if there's a flag?
Wow, I'd really like to see that.
All right. Well, let's move on, shall we?
We shall.
Okay, so this next story is one that we've talked about so many times before, but it's happened again. Someone has found a foot.
Oh, no.
A foot on New Year's Day.
Oh, no.
Now, this foot ended up on the end of Jetty Island, which is in the Pacific Northwest, which is the American side. They don't normally end up on the American side. It's still the same area. Usually they end up in British Columbia, but it's still considered the same area as far as the feet washing up. This makes number 15.
Wow.
Since 2007.
Wow.
So it's a boot, and it appears that it's been in the water for some time. They have not tested it yet. Anytime these feet, the shoes and things wash up, they always try to test them and match them to missing persons, things like that. They have matched some of the feet that have washed up to people that they claim have committed suicide. So sometimes they do find out who they belong to, sometimes they don't. And it's really strange. This whole foot thing is very strange because, there's this explanation out there that the reason that the feet wash up and not any other part is that, when there's a body that gets lost in the ocean, it becomes disarticulated. It fish get at it. It comes apart. It's in there for a long time. It deteriorates.
Right.
But because there's shoes on the feet, the fish can't get at that. It kind of holds the foot together. And so they feel like it just breaks away from the rest of the body. And that's why it washes up. That's the explanation that the scientific explanation as to why you get just the foot.
Right.
But I don't really...
I don't know if sharks care a whole lot about
understand
if it's in a boot or not.
Exactly. Well, another thing too is this has only been happening since 2007, and I'm pretty sure people died in the ocean before 2007.
Yeah, a couple of years.
And wearing shoes,
right,
and everything.
I believe shoes have been around for a few years.
So I don't know if I really agree with that particular assessment. It's weird that this one area is where they all wash up.
Yeah.
So this is yet another one, and
It sounds to me like maybe the underwater aliens or, evacuating what they don't need or
something.
It's weird, man.
And
it's weird.
It is weird. And even if some of them do belong to people that supposedly committed suicide or that they knew were lost at sea, it's still weird that just the feet wash up in this one area.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of feet.
There is definitely, there is a mystery afoot.
Is there? There is. But I'll link to this story, and again I'll do another link to there's a story where there's a map that shows you where they're all found and what whether they matched them to another person. Some of them go together, most of them don't, but it's really strange.
Does it show walking distance between?
Really interesting. No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
I don't think you could. It's a pretty wide area.
Right.
You have any more foot references?
No, I don't.
Okay. Okay. So let's move on.
Les.
All right. So this next story is interesting. It's about the Earth's magnetic field.
Ooh.
And supposedly scientists are baffled.
Oh my God.
I have a story where scientists are baffled because the Earth's magnetic field has moved unexpectedly.
Oh.
And they don't know why. Now,
maybe it's love.
Maybe. So Earth's north magnetic pole, it moves all the time.
Okay.
And it's tracked by the World Magnetic Model.
Yes, I know all that.
And the world, I'm just for our listeners that don't know.
Yeah.
Yes. So the World Magnetic Model, it's used by like the Department of Defense and
Santa Claus,
civilians, people that need to navigate.
Right.
And every so often it has to be adjusted because the magnetic field moves and then the navigation's not accurate, especially, in the Arctic, things like that.
Yeah.
And the last time it was updated was in 2014. And it wasn't set to be updated again until 2020.
Right.
But they are having a meeting this month because the feedback is that it's completely off. It's totally inaccurate and it needs to be adjusted early to get it, the navigation back online. And so the scientists have absolutely no idea why the magnetic has sped up in the last few years, because I believe that they're going to adjust it now and still adjust it in 2020 like they were originally planning on. But it's accelerated its movement, and there's not really an explanation for that.
It's really
very strange.
Is weird. I mean, are they thinking it's a pole flip maybe?
They didn't say that. No, the article does talk about magnetic poles flipping because that is something that happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very quickly.
No.
It's a slow process.
It is a slow process, and it causes a lot of disruption.
It does. I think it hasn't happened for, hundreds of thousands of years, like 700,000 years or something.
Yeah.
And they can't really tell when it's going to happen again.
Right.
I think we're due for it, maybe.
Yeah.
And they do talk about that, but they're not saying that that's what this is. They're just saying that it's accelerated its movements a lot faster than what they expect to be normal. And they are trying to figure out why, but they have no idea why.
I saw a live cam from that meeting, and there was one man from the town that was very upset. Is some chap is Chris something. Mr. Kringle or something, and he was there with some very strange looking guys in overcoats, but they had long like brown noses, and they were wearing very peculiar looking headwear, but they all seemed really upset about it, and one of them had bandages on his head, and so I don't know what had happened to them, what the magnetic pole for true north or whatever really screwed with them.
Right.
But hopefully we can get this figured out, and it's something that's not too nefarious.
I hope not.
Every story we've had today could all be connected.
You think so?
As we keep going, I'm like, wow, maybe the magnetic pulled those boots all the feet all to the same area.
Magnetic north is ever Canada.
Yeah, I know. And the FRBs are the ones like sending that out and changing it. Like they're the ones that decide where the magnetic pull is. And I know a lot of stuff there.
It is very strange. Well, that's an interesting story, and I'm going to keep up with it because I'm curious if they ever figure out why it's acting so strangely. I'm sure there's definitely more of a story there than what they're saying.
Oh, God,
definitely more of a story.
Yeah, for that to make it out like that, there is.
All right, so let's move on. Here's a really interesting story, and this is about Harry Reid. Does that name sound familiar?
It does sound familiar.
Former Senator Harry Reid.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember when we talked about that secret Pentagon UFO program?
Oh, I remember.
Yes, he spearheaded that. He's the one that pushed for it.
Yes.
So Harry Reid, he's the former Senate Majority Leader. He is lobbying his former colleagues to do more study into UFOs.
Right. So Harry Reid, he was the one that was with Tom DeLonge, like originally, one of the guys involved.
So. Yeah, with the To the Stars.
With To the Stars Academy. Yeah.
And he's always pushed for the UFO study. Now, what happened was he was doing this interview, and he happened to be doing the interview right before he was going to talk to a senator about setting up a way for members of the military, pilots, things like that, to talk about suspicious sightings without facing retribution.
Right.
Like he's really pushing for some kind of program where people in the military can report what they've seen and not feel like it's going to hurt their career or their credibility or feel in any way like they shouldn't be able to say that.
They could do that for airline pilots too.
Yes. Well, I'm sure if it was something that they would do for the military, it would trickle down to other pilots. But he said that there are people in the military that want to come forward, but they're just scared to, and he feels like that's something they should set up, but that he also feels like that they should push for studying the stuff more. He feels like after everything he had done, with his program, that there is a reason and room for more study, that there needs to be more done on the phenomenon. So very cool story, and I will link to this. I think there might be a link to the interview also, if you want to listen to it. And he said, he did say that also included sightings of vessels at sea. So any military person, not just pilots, anybody that sees anything unusual. And he did say that personally he didn't know if little green men existed, that sort of thing, but he does believe that there are unusual things out there and that it does need to be looked into. He doesn't feel like the government does enough to support that.
No, like, I mean, if the government didn't know, and we've documented this before, if the government didn't know what was happening, the government would be putting every resource they had into trying to figure it out, as they did originally.
Right, because they would feel like it was another country or... Originally,
we had a shoot down order. We were all up in arms about it, and then boom, we covered it up. We stopped talking about it, and it's just really strange, right?
Yes.
So if you just looked at it like that, you'd be like, well, why did we do that? I mean, why were we so up in arms about it? Why were we holding like congressional hearings about it? Why were we going on actual networks and talking about it? Why did we have a shoot to kill order on these UFO sightings that were happening everywhere? Why were they reported everywhere? Why did we form a government body to research these? And then all of a sudden, it's not like if they had discovered that everything was fake,
right?
They would still want to research things like the Phoenix Lights, right? They would still want to find out, what was this giant thing that was spotted by thousands of people? Instead, they just blow smoke. They say it's something else. They give you swamp gas and all this. Obviously, it's the worst cover up that's ever happened of anything. I mean, this guy, this is the guy coming home with the paintings around his neck and his fly undone with a stupid grin on his face saying, I didn't do anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I got these for you. They were used at the used store.
Thought I'd wear them around my neck.
Picked them up at Goodwill. They didn't have a bag. Really? You want us to believe that? You want us to believe that? But you know what? There's a wife out there somewhere that wouldn't want to think otherwise of her husband. And she's like, she doesn't want to mess up the status quo. She doesn't want to mess up the norm, right?
Right.
So she'll take those and wash them and use them and whatever. And that's what happens with the majority of people that don't want to mess up their 3.5 kids, their white picket fence, their American dream, whatever. And they just buy this load of Bulgarian bullcrap that is the fact of this cover up, this really horribly thought out, terrible cover up, where people come and knock on your doors to tell you to stop talking about it, or call you in the middle of the night to tell you not to talk about it anymore, or follow you, or ruin your career, because it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
Well, why else would they do that? It's just ridiculous.
It is.
Yeah.
I agree.
Rubbish.
Well, hopefully we will have our disclosure soon. You should ask the great Antonio about that.
You just want me to bring it back out here.
No, that's okay. We need to get the show done.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's move on to the news story. So do you remember a while back we were talking about how NASA was looking into ways to possibly deflect or, keep us from being hit with an asteroid? Do you remember?
Right.
And they were asking people to send in their ideas, and there were some pretty crazy ones, and we joked about the whole Armageddon thing and all that.
Yeah, I think they should use like a giant tennis racket.
See, you should have sent your idea in.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Gigantic. Boy, do you know what don't they make tennis racket strings out of like cat guts? Is that how that works?
Do they really?
Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I didn't know that.
Maybe I'm wrong about that.
They don't kill cats to make tennis. I mean, who told you that? There's not a factory somewhere where they just
they use that for something. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
No, I have to look it up.
No, it just makes no sense. Here at the Hooverton, tennis racket.
Okay. No,
company.
I was wrong. I'm wrong. It's violin strings.
Ooh.
And it's not made out of actual. It says it's not made out of actual cat's guts. So see, this is something I heard when I was a kid, and I thought they really made them out of cat's guts. Apparently, cat gut is made from the walls of various animals' intestines. So it's like animal intestine strings on your violin. It's usually sheep or goat is what they say.
Well,
I learned something new today.
we kill sheep anyway.
Right.
So I can see that cats are not a normal.
Well, I mean, I was a kid. I heard cat gut. I thought they made strings out of cat's guts.
Can you imagine? You know how the mass public is. Just make a Facebook meme about it. Be like one of those like. Today, I was today years old
when I learned that violin strings weren't made out of actual cat's guts. I was today years old, apparently. Wow. Okay. So huge tennis racket, not made out of guts. So that's fine.
Can you imagine? Can you freaking imagine?
I thought it was horrible.
No, tennis racket. I mean, the tennis racket company. It's like here at Spalding.
I don't play tennis.
We only use the finest Persian kitties.
I mean, when you think about it now, it is kind of ridiculous. But I was a kid. I mean, I didn't know.
No, it's great and horrifying at the same time.
It's horrifying. All right. Anyway, where was I? Oh, the asteroid thing. Okay. So NASA is going to launch this new mission. In development. It's called, you ready for the name? I love this.
I hope it's cat gut.
It's called the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, somebody makes a lot of money for coming up with those things.
No, it makes too much money.
So DART, it's not about gathering scientific data or learning more about anything. Instead, it is NASA shooting a spacecraft at an asteroid to slam it into the asteroid to knock it off course.
Oh.
That is the plan, which is actually pretty good plan, I think. I mean, considering some of the other things they were talking about, before.
No, it makes sense.
So this is all about planetary defense, and they've picked a meteor to try this out on. It's called Didymus, and it's not a potentially
Didymus.
It's not a potentially dangerous. It's not going to hit Earth, but they needed.
That's what we thought until the day they hit Didymus.
That's right.
And found out it was actually an ancient.
It's not going to hit Earth until they hit it, and they're going to knock it into course to slam us. There it is. So they're going to launch.
I already see the movie for this one. Like I want to get the rights for this right now. So they're like, sir, there's nobody who can actually maneuver this and hit it correctly. We need something. We need something special. Well, there is that one story, Malcolm. The one story of that one guy who can throw the darts better than anyone. We need that guy. No, sir. He's too far gone. He doesn't want to do it anymore. You know what happened back in Shangri-La. And then they would go to the little bar, right? And the music would be playing, and some girl would come over, and he'd be drinking his big mug, put it down, be like, "Money where your mouth is, boys." And then he would have that Matthew McConaughey like Dazed and Confused look, like the 70s hair and the stupid, like the bell bottoms and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. That's until somebody comes and gets him, from the military where he used to be like an outstanding dart thrower,
right?
Because they keep up with that, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. It's one of the things they test when you're going into the military to find out if you're good enough for like officer or not. There's like, we're gonna have a quick game of darts. Excuse me. Yeah, just a quick game. Don't worry. It's a quick game of darts, just in case we ever need to, use this for something else. Anyway, sorry.
That's okay. It sounds like an interesting movie.
You'd watch it.
I would. So what they plan on doing is they're going to slam a spacecraft into this asteroid to see if they can knock it off course. And they're going to send it at a speed of 13,500 miles per hour. And you have to have a really long warning time for this to work. It's going to launch in June of 2021, and it won't come into contact until October of 2022. So it takes that long to get it there. And they have to do a lot of study, a lot of tracking, because, it's hard to hit something in space,
moving
at the exact point. So it's going to be tricky, and it's something that they want to make sure they know how to do, so that if it works and there is a threat to Earth, that this is something that they can use as a defense mechanism.
It's awesome, yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. A funny thing is I had to read the story twice before I realized that they're sending the spaceship, but nobody'd be in it. Because at first I was picturing someone flying the spaceship, and I was like, why are they're just going to fly it into the asteroid? That's not going to work for them.
We're going to start a intergalactic incident here. There's going to be somebody's house.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, probably. So interesting. That's going to be something that the follow-up's going to come quite some time from now. But at least they have an idea, a plan, something,
It's the beginning of a plan. I hope they're working on another plan too.
I hope so. I hope they have a plan B just in case
I hope they didn't just come up with that and be like, brilliant. Let's put all the money into that.
Well, and it even says in the article that it's not the kind of thing like in the movies where, we have 12 hours and this asteroid's going to hit us, oh, well. This is something you got to know way in advance. So, but I hope it works.
I mean,
be kind of cool.
Once they master it, though, you could have some little, dart ships ready to go at different places, and maybe, just maybe, naughty girls need love too. Sorry, that was Samantha Fox, like 1987. Maybe, just maybe, naughty girls need love too. I really was a big Samantha Fox fan. Do you remember Samantha Fox?
I don't.
Oh, she was hotter than a $3 pistol.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Oh, man. You don't remember Samantha Fox. Mm-hmm. So my locker at school, if you opened it up, it was nothing but Samantha Fox pictures.
Wow. No wrestling pictures?
That whole year it was Samantha Fox.
Wow. She must have been pretty hot for you to put her up over.
You would not imagine her being my type.
Right.
But you have to understand that was right around puberty.
Is she a singer?
She is.
Oh, okay.
Well, she pretends to be one.
Oh, I see.
I've went back to listen to it years later.
Right.
And I didn't find quite the quality that I found at the time.
Well, I'm sure it was targeted at a specific audience.
Very specific.
Yeah.
I believe I was the target audience.
It was just for you.
But
just for you.
Anyway, Samantha Fox.
Okay. So let's move on.
Maybe you could put it on the website. Link Naughty Girls Need Love Too.
Sure. I'll put this is from John's puberty years.
Yeah. All right.
Well, since we're talking about space, let's do this next story about a discovery. And it was discovery of a, quote, super Earth.
Yes.
Now, there's actually been a couple of these stories
there has been.
recently.
I can't believe this one's so far down your list today.
Well, there was two. There was one where some interns discovered a super Earth. That's not this story.
Okay.
That's a very cool story. Some interns were looking at some old data. They discovered a Neptune-like super Earth. It's in a Goldilocks zone. But I'm waiting on that one because they still need to do a little more study on it.
Really?
Well, I mean, they found it, but there's not anything super remarkable about it. It's a super Earth. They find those
but it's a super Earth in a Goldilocks zone.
And they're not sure. They think it's a Neptune. Like, they don't know if it's gaseous or rocky yet. Like, I was hoping that they were going to come back with a little bit more information on it. Because it's a very new story.
All right.
This is another.
Thank you for researching.
Super Earth. This one was actually discovered a couple months ago. But the reason that this one's in the news is because they just published or presented at an annual meeting some findings where they said that they feel like alien life is possible on this super Earth, especially if water exists, because there's geothermal heating and it could create a subsurface ocean, and they feel like this is a very good potentially alien life finding super Earth. Like I said, they still need to study it some more because they did just discover it a couple months ago. It's called Barnard B.
You know what? I'm sorry, but this whole story's been ruined because the way you started it off, it reminded me of this Monty Python skit. And you were just like, there's this story about this super Earth that some interns found, and it's really cool, but this is not that story. and it just reminded me of the Monty Python. I think they did it a couple times.
Where they're like,
they're like 1952. This it's happening here, but this is not the story. This is the story of this man. Well, actually, it's the story of this woman, which It's like, who knew this man, who was the gardener for this man,
right?
Who
whose
was the
dog,
whose dog once bit the leg of this man, and it's the squadron. It's the whole squadron leader. It's the light entertainment war.
The light entertainment war. I love that episode.
Yeah.
That's like one of the funniest episodes they have. They have great stuff on that one. This is still a pretty cool story, and I'll actually link to both of the Super Earth stories because. I mean, they're finding those things. So many planets. So many. This one's, I believe, the star that this one surrounds is the closest to us out of all the ones that they found. All right, so let's move on to our next story.
Okay.
So this one's really interesting, and this is a story from Arrowhead Stadium.
Ooh.
I don't know if you've seen this. This is a story about a video that I'll link to where some fans that run this website for the Kansas City Chiefs, they're like big fans, they invited a psychic medium to go to Arrowhead Stadium with them.
Antonio?
No, not the Great Antonio. A woman. To walk around and hopefully find out if there was any kind of negative energy or negative spirits that plague the Kansas City Chiefs because of how badly they always do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Every year.
Right.
So this is
that's fact.
It is. So this is actually a really interesting video. It's about 14 minutes long where they talk about, now they weren't allowed to video inside the stadium. So they show some pictures and they talk about what happened when they were on the tour around the stadium. And
you don't think it could have anything to do with them using a Native American?
Actually, I don't know that they didn't really mention that. I never really thought about that.
I mean, because they're actually out there more in that area. I know the Redskins use it, but
right.
You think Kansas City, you think more Wild West, right?
That's true.
I don't know. Interesting.
It is interesting. Well, the guys that run this website, they're called the Arrowhead guys. They invited the psychic medium named Vicki Millard. She also works as a paranormal investigator in that area. And they invited her to come to the stadium, and she walked around and was sort of feeling out the energy. And she said during her tour that she came into contact with the presence of a man dressed in a suit from the early 1970s. And I guess during the course of her contact with him on the tour that she realized it was the spirit of a coach that they had there. He was a Super Bowl IV winning coach, Hank Stram.
Yeah, I already knew who you were talking about.
Yeah, and he was fired. Well, some people might not know.
It's my favorite coach. Like, oh my God.
Well, apparently he was fired in 1974, and he had a really angry, relationship after that.
I've talked about on the show before. I've talked about him on the show.
Have you?
On the old NFL films. When I talk about my love for old NFL films, he's one of the cats on the sidelines that is so just entertaining.
Right.
So I'll show you after the show. It's really funny.
Well, Stram passed away in 2005 when he was 82. But according to her, once he passed away and crossed over and everything, that he kind of gave up that grudge, and he always loved the Kansas City Chiefs. And so according to her, his spirit is there at the stadium during the games, and that he stands on the sidelines and watches, and he really wants them to win. And she feels like if people maybe said something to him or acknowledged his presence or gave him a little respect, that perhaps he would, from the other side, help them a little bit. So on the tour, as they're going on, something else interesting that happened was Vicki, when she was walking, she got this pain in her right leg just as they were approaching section 111 in the stands. Okay. 111. And when she was walking, she was like 111, 112, and then she was like, no, 111. And she said that there was something there and her leg was hurting. And one of the men that brought her there said, and she had no idea about this, said, well, my father and I came to a game here and sat in this section right before he passed away. He passed away on November 1st, 11/1. They sat in section 111, and his father had his right leg amputated.
Wow.
Like so that's what he feel like that's what she was getting.
Wow.
Like instead of something from the stadium, she was getting that from him in that particular
it always takes
section.
somebody open-minded like that to be able to piece some of this together. That's how information comes.
Yes. Well, he was very shocked because, she didn't know anything about that. That wasn't why they were there. So that was just something
People are always like, why don't it just say your father died? And that, because it's just not like that. You know what? The other side is just, they got a lot more time on their hands. And I don't think the truth of it is, I don't think they can tell us. I don't think, I think there's too much free will involved.
Well, it's almost like right when they got to that section, they gave her the pain so that she would stop and say, and they showed a picture of the news article during the video, but that same section is also where another man was killed during a 1972 crane collapse, an accident when they were doing work on the stadium. So a lot of different things that happened in the stadium. And so during the video, they showed Vicky, she did a blessing on the field just to get rid of any lingering negative kind of feelings or energy or anything like that. She didn't specifically say that there was any kind of curse or anything on there, but, she just wanted to cover all the bases. And she did say, just to be on the safe side for any fans that were coming to the game, maybe, say something nice to the coach and, hopefully he'll be there and, give him some good luck.
It's amazing how much information comes from the other side to people all the time. And they don't register it. They don't see it. They don't think about it. So you get the pain in your leg. You're walking by a section. You know what you do? You go, ow, and you walk by the section.
Right.
See, when you're in the field, you're in the business, you do this all the time, you realize how these things come. So there's no difference in Vicky really and somebody else, except for the fact that she realized, and she's like, ow, something's going on. Let me stop here. Oh, hey, look, 111. That's interesting. That's numerology. And then, that registers because, obviously lost his dad on. It's like, oh, man, we sat here. Of course you're going to remember that. I remember walking through Neyland Stadium where I sat.
Well, yeah, it was the last time they saw a game before he passed away.
Yeah, so you're like, oh, and that was on 11-1. And my God, he, right leg amputated. I mean, it's all going to come. Did she do anything that anybody else couldn't do right there? No. It's just the fact that it all happened and it was all put together. You could call it coincidence if you want. You always can.
Right.
But it's really cool.
Yes.
I love stuff like that.
Well, I'll be interested to see this weekend how the Kansas City Chiefs do.
Yes.
In their game. I think they play the Colts. So we'll see. And, I did go back and look at their playoff record just out of curiosity. And, wow.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad, especially at home.
Yeah.
So very interesting, kind of a cool story. And it is an interesting video. Like I said, I will link to it and you can watch and they'll show the pictures and things like that. So very interesting. All right. So my last story, this one's just kind of funny. I enjoyed this one. And this is about the Indian Science Congress, in India.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just make sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Totally pictured it at a powwow. So,
well,
we're going to talk about science.
Yeah, this Indian Science Congress, it's been held annually since 1914. Over the years, they welcome these esteemed researchers and, it included several Nobel laureates. It's very prestigious. Very prestigious. The Congress organizers, like the scientific community, it's very well put together. So during this annual meeting, there was a section where some of these people come and they talk to children. And these speakers came and they were speaking to about 5,000 children.
Jesus.
So at this year's meeting, during this time talking to the children, there were 3 speakers. And what happened was the first speaker talked about how Albert Einstein's theory of relativity was a big blunder and that Isaac Newton didn't really understand how gravity works. That was what he spoke about. The next speaker got up and said that Ravana, who is a demon god with 10 heads, had 24 kinds of aircraft of varying sizes and capacities, and that India was making test tube babies thousands of years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there was a third speaker who is a scientist whose expertise is paleontology at a university there, and he claims that dinosaurs were created by the Hindu god Brahma.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the things that they spoke about to the children, and the scientific community went nuts. absolutely got so upset. They had no idea that that's the things that they were going to say in front of the children. Mavericks. Yes, and so, and this whole thing's funded by the Indian government's Ministry of Science and Technology, so they were absolutely upset, and the organizers were it says they were red-faced, and they decided they were going to do some better vetting in the future.
You think?
And the speakers come in, but these weren't just guys off the street. These are people that work at universities and things like that, and they had no idea that they were going to come in and say things that went against science so much. It's just, there is a video of this, and I'm going to link to it. It's like 2 hours long. I did not watch it, but you can watch it and listen to.
I can't wait till the next episode of Ancient Aliens.
These interesting speakers.
They're going to be like, Bombay, India, 2018. Be like, December 2018. At a gathering of the greatest scientific minds, Yeah,
it just happened like last week. It's awesome.
That is fantastic.
Yes. So that those children, they heard that. There's no unhearing.
We just got 5,000 new listeners, folks.
These scientists.
I'd like to welcome all the little kids from India right now joining the Paranormal Sideshow.
Oh, it's fantastic. I love the one about the ancient god that had planes and they were doing test tube babies thousands of years ago.
Instead of the Patreon money, you can send us curry. Please. Go ask your mom to make some. Send it.
So those are all my news stories.
That's really cool. Mm-hmm. I really appreciated it. It was great. Awesome.
Thanks.
Spectacular. I really enjoyed the news today. All right. Well, boy, we went all over the place on that one, didn't we?
We did.
Well, we started out with some top 10s and got some predictions with the great Antonio. Thanks, Antonio.
Yes. Thank you, Antonio. Yeah. Welcome back anytime.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Hey.
Yeah. Just being nice.
Oh, yeah.
Just being nice.
I can see that. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Paranormal Sideshow. That's the, the address, like we were telling you, the cool way to find everything. Go on the Patreon and become a patron yourself and invite your neighbor. When they ask what is it, don't worry about what it is. Just donate. That's the best way to get the word out. Eventually, they're going to want to find out where that money's going, and they will look it up. All that's just trivial. What really? Do you like the word trivial?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All that's just trivial. It's one of Stacey's favorite words, obviously, or the great Antonio's under the table. One of the two.
Don't look.
Okay, I won't. I never do. So anyway, it's lovely to see you again in this new year. It's lovely to be with all of you lovely people.
Yes.
For my beautiful, dark-eyed seductress, Stacey, I'm John. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hey guys, if you like what you've heard, please check out ParanormalSideshow.com and follow the links for our weekly podcast. Also, become a Sideshow off yourself and pick one of our killer levels on our Patreon to help support the channel and to help keep us bringing you bigger and better content. So until next week, for my lovely wife Stacey, I'm John Edwards. So long and
stay strange.